What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Playbook Sports Podcast. Another week, another mock draft. Last week, I added Addison to the show. Tonight, you guys get a special treat. We got Bobby in the house. Bobby has been blowing us up to get these mock drafts out there. You're not going to find anybody more dedicated to the damn NFL draft than this guy right here. Bob, how the hell are you?
Pretty good, man. I've been feeding for this, so looking forward to do it with you guys, kind of see what your thoughts are on, who we got going round one and two. So
Oh, I'm going to flame all of your picks, and I cannot wait.
yeah,
I cannot wait. All
I'm
right,
excited.
I'm
I'm
just launching
excited.
the PFF mock draft simulator straight away. And I decided I wanted to pick one because I want to go a different direction. So we're just gonna
Okay.
go me, Bobby Addison, and just down the road like that. Kind of the easiest way to go. I think Abdul Carter has been a really popular pick here because the GM came out and said we want the generational player. Well, I think Abdul Carter is probably the closest thing to generational in this class. I don't know if he is. That's to be determined. But at the same time, I have seen a lot of impressive stuff just online out of quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami, and he's going pick number one for me, man. How often do the Tennessee Titans pick at pick number one? Honestly, I don't even know the last time that they did. Just off the top of my head, no idea. You have a chance to take the best quarterback in this class, and you have an opportunity to get that position right. And he's got a cannon on him. He makes all of the athletic plays you want to see. Is he that great of a quarterback prospect? I don't know. And that's scary at pick number one, but I think you got to take a shot. And I'm going to take a shot at pick one and go with Cam Ward to Tennessee.
Love that. I mean, he's definitely made his imprint on the draft so far. His stock's obviously climbed a little bit as well, just being the quarterback. But number one pick, he showed it at Miami. And
Yeah.
the Titans hadn't picked first since the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, what a way to get the coach, because they hired Callahan and he came in with Will Levis already on the roster. This gets him a quarterback if he falls in love with Cam Ward, and that's the guy he wants. All right, he's putting his name next to another, and he's riding together with the history. What's going to happen if they keep their jobs going forward? But I love the pick to Cam Ward. It's an exciting pick for Tennessee, definitely.
Thank you. Bob, pick two.
Yeah. Well, I think he's the best quarterback in
Yeah.
the draft, by the way.
Yeah.
So I love the
Me too.
pick. All right. Well, you got the Browns here. I think they can go a lot of different ways. It would be. I think they just take best player available. I think they have a lot of issues to deal with. Also with Travis Hunter, it does scare me because I'm not sure exactly which position he is. So with pick two, I got them taking Abdul Carter, best player available. I don't think Shador is a big enough time prospect, big enough time QB to change that franchise. So get rid of Myles Garrett. You go get someone who's hopefully just as good to replace him. So I got Abdul Carter going too.
Love that. And especially with Myles Garrett requesting a trade. I think you have an opportunity now to replace him potentially with a guy who could have maybe not a Myles Garrett level impact because Myles Garrett was a true generational edge rusher, but Abdul Carter's got all of the upside in the world, and he's my number one player in the entire class.
Yep.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, he's absolutely insane. And I love that, especially with Garrett requesting the trade. But just going in the number 3 pick, I think the Giants' hands a little forced here, even though this may be the way they're leaning if Cam Ward is there. But with Ward going 1, I think the Giants go quarterback as well. I'm going to go Shador Sanders. We're going to have 2 QBs in the top 3, which I think is a very real possibility. So I'm going to go Shador Sanders, though, to the New York Giants.
Totally agree that that's absolutely possible. Daboll's going to want his quarterback. They don't have one on roster.
Yeah.
Their quarterback room is laughable. It is as good as the 3 of us sitting here right now. Honest to God. I'm sorry, Tim Boyle and Drew Lock is there and Tommy DeVito? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's tough. And I will say, though, Malik Neighbors in the media talking about Stafford, but it's not that I don't like Stafford going to the G-Men. It's just, what is that for the future? How long are you going to have Stafford, Neighbors? You're talking about a veteran quarterback. Well, he's about to retire soon.
Yeah.
So I think you get the young gun in Sanders.
And their line is terrible still.
Yeah.
It's bad. He'll get killed over there. Yeah. Patriots on the clock at pick 4 here, and I wanted to go offensive line, but I think if you're the New England Patriots, I think you just go best player available here. And Travis Hunter, and if Travis Hunter falls to New England, they may consider making him a wide receiver first. I could totally see that if maybe they swing and miss on a couple of the big free agents. Maybe T. Higgins decides to go ring chasing instead of bag chasing. And you have a guy that like Travis Hunter who has wide receiver 1 upside as well as CB1 upside. If you want to play him at corner, I have no complaints either. Him and Christian Gonzalez together is disgusting. So I think you take him and you just say, okay, what suits us best right now? Right now, I think it's wide receiver, but he could play either way, and he wants to play both ways. I don't know how realistic that is, but if anyone can do it, man, it's him. He's a freak.
Yeah, I love that pick.
Jags,
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah, with the Jags, I feel like this team once again has a lot of needs, and a lot of positions that are available. I think they just go, in my opinion, one of the top players available at the moment, and that's Mason Graham. Got to be able to stop the run. He's a guy that can do it all. I think he's a name that might slightly fall, as the draft day approaches, just with other names rising, but still think he's one of the best talents in this draft, and I think the Jags are very happy to get him at 5 here.
Yeah, they'd definitely be happy to get Mason Graham at 5. It's a major need for them with the interior defensive line, and he's one of the top 4 players in the draft, top 3 players in the draft, in my opinion. But he could fall, Bob. I agree with that. With other guys rising, you know how the draft works. Somebody's going to fall that shouldn't. I could see it Mason Graham, but the Jags would definitely be happy with that. Pick 6 here. Both quarterbacks gone. And at this point, the Raiders are sort of like, damn, missed out on another year of quarterbacks, but might not be the worst thing. Obviously, got to address in a free agency then. But I'm gonna go a little shakeup maybe, but I'm getting Ashton Genty, pick 6 to the
I
Raiders.
love
Love
it.
that.
I
Let's
love
get
it.
it. I mean, if the guy's gonna be some generational stud, the Raiders need a running back. And
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, you know, Marshawn Lynch, he's obviously had a good back most of his career coaching in the NFL. So let's try to repeat it with Genty being one of the best backs in the league, and we're gonna take him 6 and see what he's got.
Yeah, that great pick. Why not? Right? Why not?
Yeah.
You get him for 5 years. You get the best 5 years of his career, and guaranteed. And you can lock him in even longer
Yeah.
if you want to. I mean, that's such an underrated like quarterback best friend. And then if they get a rookie next year, like guess what? You've got a star running back right next to you
Yeah.
who you can give the
Yeah.
ball to 300 times in a season easily. Yeah, that's a great pick for them. And like you said, Pete Carroll has always had a good running game. So yeah, excellent pick for the Raiders. Jets on the clock here. And I'm going to go ahead and take the other Michigan man. I feel like Michigan players are going to go at pick 5 and 7. If it's the Jags and the Jets sitting at pick 5 and 7, those are probably where they go in either order. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Jets Will Johnson with DJ Reed being a free agent. You've got and Aaron Glenn coming over to be the new defensive coordinator. They've got plenty of defensive linemen. There's not a quarterback available. The offensive line is solid. They're just missing like a right tackle. They've got every other position pretty well filled, but you don't have a CB2. And Will Johnson is a CB1 that can play CB2 for you because you have Sauce Gardner on the other side. So I'm going to go with Will Johnson at pick 7. Bobby, pick 8.
Yeah, I'm going to shake it up here a little bit. I know this offseason it's going to be talked a lot about the Panthers' weapons. Obviously, with McMillan still on the board, I think that's a hot name. But I think they can address that elsewhere. I do think that there will be some wide receivers available. They do have some young weapons. I know they got looked bad at times last year. But I'm going to go Malachi Starks here. I really like the safety out of Georgia. I think he's a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. And I think also in later rounds, you may be able to address some wide receiver needs or any ways to help Bryce Young possible. But I think players like Starks, playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, don't come around too often. So
Okay, love that. Great pick. Yeah, I think he's fallen down boards, and I don't understand why. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't really get that as well. He's definitely, I mean, maybe it is just the play this last season, but it's just a little prospect fatigue, I think. I mean, he's definitely been one of the better safeties in college his entire time there. So it's just how it goes. But pick 9 here going for the Saints. I think this is an interesting way the draft is shaken up so far.
Mhm.
Their needs on PFF, it's receiver, tight end, D line. Receiver's interesting, but it's just Derek Carr running it back. I don't know if McMillan, what happens if you have to get rid of the quarterback in the future and you're left with good receivers with nobody throwing him the football? It's tough though. I'm gonna go with what I did in my own first round mock. I'm gonna do it. I think Mike Green from Marshall shoots
Ooh.
up high enough to be a top 10 pick.
I think
And
so
the
too.
Saints. I think the Saints bite, and it's just an edge that they're gonna need to replace eventually if they're losing Chase Young. So, yeah, give me Mike Green to the Saints.
Yeah, that's great pick. You should know he was going at pick 10 if you didn't take him right there.
Yeah.
Just like we're fresh off the Senior Bowl, and he wasn't voted the best player at the Senior Bowl, but he was one of them without a doubt. I mean, he went viral for his obviously super impressive clip against Josh Connerly, who is a highly regarded offensive tackle prospect, and he has just flown up boards, and you cannot argue with his production of 17 sacks this year and 32 quarterback hurries. I mean, He was elite this season, absolutely elite, and he came in a little bigger than I thought he was going to be, and he still looks just explode. Like, he's awesome. He's awesome. That's all I really have to say there. That's a great pick for them. Chicago on the clock here. It's a couple of guys I thought about at this spot are gone. Ashton Genty off the board, and so is Mike Green. So then I'm stuck between two of the guys I think that they could go, and I think you could argue for Will Campbell to slide into guard depending on how free agency goes. Obviously, we don't know that, but then you also could go edge rusher. So what's more important, an edge rusher or a guard? And I've got to say, I think edge rusher, man. And I think I'm probably not alone in that. You know, you talk about the three most important positions in football: quarterback, left tackle, and edge rusher. I don't see Will Campbell sticking at tackle, especially for the Chicago Bears, unless they decide to move Braxton Jones into guard or they decide to bench him altogether. But I think when you have an opportunity to take someone like James Pierce Jr. at pick 10, when he falls into your lap here, a guy who's moving up boards finally. After I've been screaming about it for 2 months. Like, he was rated in like the low to mid 20s. I'm like, what are we doing here? Now he's rightfully so in the top 10 of this class, and I think that is where he belongs. I'm going to go James Pierce to Chicago and give them another stud edge rusher to line up alongside Montez Sweat, and good luck stopping both of those edges, man. That will not be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that'd be a good pick in my mind. I wonder if that is a scenario that pops up where there's the elite edge and then Will Campbell. What do the Bears do? Because that's probably what they want to have happen in the draft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? An opportunity to pick either one of those guys. So that'd definitely be interesting. And I hope it happens for the Bears to at least have a shot at one of those guys.
Agreed.
Yeah, and with the 49ers pick here, obviously I think I need to address O-line. I agree. I think Will Campbell can be a very good tackle or guard in the NFL. But in my opinion, if you need a tackle, and I love Kelvin Banks as a prospect, and that's who I'm going to take here. I think you go out and you get a solid tackle for years to come. Don't have to worry about him. With Will Campbell, I think there may be some worry about whether he is a guard or tackle. I don't think there's any worry about that at all with Kelvin Banks Jr. I think he can be a solid player for years to come for him at 11. So
Love that pick. Love Kelvin Banks Jr. Great pick.
Cowboys are absolutely grinning. If
Yeah,
this
they
is
are.
how
Yeah.
this happens. Teteroa McMillan from Arizona, the third-ranked prospect, still being available at 12. You got to take that immediately. Get CD Lamb, a second receiver. That could be a one, an immediate one on most teams in the league. Pair him with Dak throwing the ball. You got to be grinning ear to ear with all the Genty talk. And if McMillan somehow can fall down to the Cowboys here, I think that's an immediate pick. So I'm going to go Teteroa McMillan from Arizona.
Love that pick. I saw, as soon as I saw McMillan was and the Cowboys were up next, I'm like, oh yeah, that's got to be the pick. That's got to be the pick. Great pick there. Dolphins on the clock, needing guard, tackle, D-line, and safety. No safeties. I'm not interested in Imawari here. Probably got to go offensive line. At least I think so. The Dolphins don't tend to think so. They think offensive line is worthless, and look how far that's gotten us. If Will Campbell is still here and I can get him and just expect him to play guard this year, and maybe even going forward, just have him at guard. Just give me a lockdown guard, please. Although I do sometimes get Liam Eichenberg vibes from his tape. I don't love that it happens to be us again, but it's the way it goes. And I do think Will Campbell has the potential to be a really good offensive lineman. I mean, he is one of the captains on that LSU offense, and he is so good at calling out blitzes and calling out protections. Just a leader on the offensive line. So I am going to go ahead and take Will Campbell here at pick 13.
yeah, that's a phenomenal pick. I mean, like I said, I think he's going to be an excellent lineman as well. I think he can plug and play wherever you need him to. I think a lot of the worries about arms and things like that, I think they're overblown. I think he's got a good anchor and, able to play any position he wants to. So, and with the 14th pick, it's an easy one to shoehorn in here. I will say, I do think the pick, if Warren is there, is to take Tyler Warren. I think he's too good of a playmaker, too good of a blocker, too good of an asset. You can use him in so many different ways at QB. He can do it all, and he really does run extremely well after the catch, blocks extremely well. So I think Tyler Warren is the pick here. Another name that I really do think could end up going here is Siobhan Ravel. That's just another. We do need DB help. If he does end up participating in the combine, runs a good 40, that's a name to watch with that new Lou Anarumo defense. But give me Tyler Warren here. I just think Anthony Richardson needs as many weapons as he can get. And I think this guy does it all. And just a great weapon for the offense in general. So,
yeah, great pick. Love that pick.
Yeah, Falcons here at 15. got a plethora of needs: receiver, edge, backer, corner. It's interesting. Benjamin Morrison is there, but so is Luther Burden, and I don't think their weapons are lacking in the receiver
Oh.
department. But him being a piece with Drake London could be interesting. Drake London being the big guy, Burden could be everything underneath. But Mikael Williams from Georgia, edge here is who I'm going to go. I think the Falcons, I think this is just who they're going to take. They love the prospect edge that's got all the ability in the world if they can put it together. So I'm going to go Mikael Williams for the Falcons. It's a piece they need with that defense, and it's just another pass rusher. It's an elite position, and I think they're solid enough in the receiver room not to be tempted by Burden or Egbuka that early at 15.
Yeah, I agree. I think Michael Williams, he just feels like an Atlanta Falcon, man. He plays at Georgia.
Yeah.
He fits the defense that Raheem Morris likes to run. And I've been down on him in the past, but the more I've kind of watched him, he's such a good run defender already. And you can see the pass rush upside. So once he develops those moves and those counter moves as a true edge rusher, he's already got the run defense as a basement. You've got a great run defending edge rusher, and then you add in his athleticism that is freakish. And if he gets with a good defense, watch out. This guy could be a star. So great pick for them. Arizona. Guard, tackle, and defensive line, according to PFF. I'm between two guys. Two of them were kind of Senior Bowl darlings a little bit. They both played great in the Senior Bowl. I'm going to go with Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Probably about the highest I've had him. And I know they took, Darius Robinson last year, but there's no rule that says you can't have two good defensive linemen. So I'm going to double down here, and I'm going to go Walter Nolan. His first step for his size is unprecedented. I mean, and I to be fair, I saw this when I was watching Willie Lampkin's tape because I'm a huge Willie Lampkin fan. But Walter Nolan went by him like he was standing still. It was one of the few times that Lampkin looked like a 5th-round prospect to me. And it's because he was up against Walter Nolan, who was just by him in a blur. And it's like, this dude weighs 300 pounds, 6'3", can bench press a small vehicle, and can move like that? Okay, I'm in. So I'll go Walter Nolan to Arizona and give them a star on the defensive side of the ball.
Love
Cool.
that.
My stuff just we may have to. Can you repeat the picks? My thing just crashed. My bad. My page.
No, you're good. You're good. We can catch you back up too.
Okay, fair.
You're up with Cincinnati on the clock.
Cincinnati is Luther Burden's available, correct?
He sure is.
Luther Burden's the pick.
Yeah, Luther Burden.
That's just ball knowledge right there.
Yeah, great pick. Because T. Higgins maybe walking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love that. Seattle, Addison.
Seattle, this is an interesting spot. Do they go defense for the head coach, or do they maybe address a position on the offensive line, a guy that can play guard? I think I'm going to go the same pick. It's sort of a cop-out from our mock draft together, Nate, but I'm going to go Shamar Stewart here to the
Great pick.
to the Seahawks. Just get the edge piece that they need for that McDonald defense.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a good fit in my opinion there, and it's just a piece that potentially could move over the line a little bit as well. So give me Stewart to the Seahawks.
Yeah, he almost went 2 picks ago to Arizona. That was who I was debating between. He had an awesome Senior Bowl. He made himself a ton of money by showing up at his size at 290 pounds, and the explosiveness from him was unbelievable, and he's so damn strong. I mean, he's a stud. He's going to be really, really good, man. Tampa Bay on the clock here. Some Bucs fans in the comments did not like me giving them Jihad Campbell last time, so fine, I will not do that this time. You guys bullied me, so I won't do that. But I am going to go with Nick Scourton out of Texas A&M. Still give you an edge rusher. I think I watched 2 different types of Nick Scourton. I watched his, I don't know if it's Scourton or Scourton, so I'm going to go back and forth. But I watched his Purdue tape, and he was so much more explosive at Purdue. But at Purdue, he was listed at 265. He's listed at 285 at A&M. So I don't know if they just asked him to bulk up and be more of a run-defending edge or what. But if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm saying, listen, let's get you back down to that 270 range, get that explosive first step back, and you will feast. So I'm going to go Nick Scourton, and I'm going to say, give me the 270-pound version, please, and thank you.
Yeah, I love that pick there. I think anytime getting an edge rusher always helps. Just the more you have too. Just quality depth's always helpful there too. With the Broncos here on the clock, a lot of different ways they can go. I know Sean Payton recently just came out and said they had a lot more depth at wideout than most people thought. Which I know, kind of continuing on that though, just getting weapons, I think in general is going to be a big thing. A guy that I think could a lot of people are hoping falls a little bit later, about 2 picks or so. I'm going to be taking Colson Loveland here.
Nice.
Get as much help for your young quarterback as possible. I think he is a true tight end. He's one of the better true tight ends in this draft. I know it is a deep class, but I think it's never a bad thing to add another weapon to a young QB, try and get him as much confidence as possible. So
Yeah, I
Agreed.
love Colston Loveland to the Broncos. I want that to happen more and more. I almost wonder if he's going to go up a little bit higher. I think people
can
are going
see
to start
that.
falling more in love with him, in my opinion, because I think Warren might go higher as well. And then teams are going to be there going, oh, crap, we need this kid's good as well. Moving on, though, to 21, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is interesting because Benjamin Morris is right there, corner, but I don't know if Steeler Nation will accept a non-weapon on the offensive side of the ball here with just the lack of talent they have, especially at the receiver position. I think Emeka Egbuka goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it is just because he's the best available offensive guy, receiver right there. And I think that just is match made in heaven. It's somebody that even if they do keep Fields, Ohio State connection at least. Yeah, I'm gonna go Emeka Egbuka to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, great pick. I love that pick. Yeah, Bobby, you absolutely stole the pick from me with pick 20, Colston Loveland, because that's just like the obvious, oh, they need a tight end. Here's a Michigan tight end for Jim Harbaugh. Like,
100%.
no
That'd be too
shit.
nice for that to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. I'm gonna give them someone on the defensive side of the ball here. Khalil Mack is, I believe, he is a free agent. Joey Bosa is getting paid like close to $30 million this year, so they're gonna have to do something, whether that's cut him or restructure him. You need an edge rusher. I'm gonna give them someone who hasn't been really talked about as a true edge rusher just yet, but he's so damn talented on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not gonna let him fall any further, and you can play him anywhere. I'm gonna go Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I think that this is a guy that not long ago was a top 10 pick, pretty much consensus. And I don't know if it's because people are like, well, what position is he going to play? Linebacker or edge rusher? I don't really care. You give me a guy that can play good football, I'll figure it out. And he can play damn good football. I think he has a higher upside as an edge rusher, but a higher floor as a linebacker. So I'm just going to trust Harbaugh and the Chargers to figure that out and just give them talent. So Jalen Walker at pick 22.
Nice. Yeah. And the Packers on the clock. I think this could go a lot of different ways. I'm going to assume this offseason Jair is gone. And with that, got to just add that cornerback depth. I think they do have weapons at wide out. I think they can also, once again, look to make moves in free agency. I know they have a lot of young guys, and I think they add to that here, just get better on the defense. And I think Benjamin Morrison's the pick here, cornerback out of Notre Dame. I think he's a great corner when healthy. And the Packers, if Jair's gone, are going to need all the help they can get at cornerback. So.
Yep, great pick. Another guy that's
Yeah,
fallen just
that-
because of injury.
Yeah, definitely. With that pick, Vikings fans are grown because
Yep.
that is who I would have snagged immediately. And I think the Vikings are going to follow it up back-to-back corners. I'm going to go Barron from Texas. I think he might be the best corner in the draft. The guy can play any position. I think he's a stud. He's an absolute lockdown.
Yeah. 5 picks, no touchdowns allowed last year. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy.
That's
5'11",
insane.
so a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But if he can come in, play a slot spot, and if not, I still think he can guard guys on the perimeter as well.
Yeah.
So give me Barron to the Vikings. They just address the secondary.
I mean, he excelled at on the perimeter this year.
Yeah.
Like, he's a career slot kind of move around guy. But then this year, he puts up a 90.8 PFF grade, giving up 0 touchdowns, having 5 interceptions, and a passer rating of 33.1.
Yeah.
In college, that goes way higher than NFL. So, like, that you may as well just spike the ball instead of throwing it at him, because it's going to be a negative play if you throw it at him. He was so good. Like, that's another guy that's just like good football player. I'll take him. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
On the clock, Houston Texans. It just has to be a guard. I think their offensive line was so bad. I really want to go with Kenneth Grant here. I think he would be a really good pick for them, and they need defensive linemen too. But you have a quarterback of the future. You have your weapons. The problem with your offense is that your quarterback doesn't have a second to throw the ball. That's the issue. Like, it's a very identifiable problem. So I'm going to go with potentially guard 1 in this class, and that's Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I know he's been big on the hype train for him right now, with Daniel Jeremiah ranking him as the 13th best player in the class and having him go pick 10 to Chicago. That's too rich for me, but 25, I've been mocking this for months, and I'm going to stick with it and go Tyler Booker to Houston.
Love the pick there. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of ways the Rams can go here as well. I'm going to just give him one of my favorite tackles in the draft, out of Missouri, Membo. I think he's going to be a stud. Got to protect Stafford. It is scary that Ravel's still there for me. I think that's also could be a very good option for them. Kind of depends on what they address in free agency, but getting a really, really good young tackle, I never think's a bad thing either. So
I love Membo. He's been my favorite tape watch so far, by far, as I've been diving into the offensive lineman. He's so good. I love him. Big fan.
Yeah, Ravens fans would have been happy, I think, with either one of the tackles if Membo got past the Rams or the guy that did in this mock. Give me Josh Simmons
Yep.
from Ohio State, 6'5", big body tackle. Go replace Stanley on that line. Yeah, Josh Simmons is the immediate pick right there for Ravens fans. They're grinning if he falls. Yeah.
That's home run pick for them. And I was nervous, Addison, that you were gonna try to get one over on me, knowing who I want to take for Detroit here, because I think the pick's obvious. I think it's Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State, and I was like, oh man, the Ravens have edges in need. He's gonna do it. I'm gonna have to figure this out on the fly, but I'm gonna go Jack Sawyer. Thankfully, he is still there for me. He's just a get it done defensive end. I don't think he can be a number 1 edge rusher on your team, but I think he can be a high end number 2. And that is exactly what Detroit needs. They just need somebody that's going to be out there every single day, that's going to get them decent sack production, and it's going to be solid against the run. That's what they need, and that's what Jack Sawyer is. So he'll be going here at pick 28 to Detroit.
yeah, I love that pick. I think another tackle goes here. Give me Gray Zabel. I think he can play a lot of offensive positions. To be honest, too, I think that position flexibility is huge for the Commanders, especially protecting a young quarterback. I think you just got to keep him upright as much as possible. And I think Gray Zabel is a very flexible option for you anywhere on the O-line. So
Yeah, he was nearly unanimously voted by the coaches at the Senior Bowl as the best player there. He got 28 of 30 first place votes for the best player at the whole Senior Bowl. That has people like Walter Nolan and Nick Scorton and Michael Will. Like all of these star players were there, and Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State was voted the best guy. That says something to me. So,
Yeah, and on Zabel, you're not wrong that he can play at every position, obviously showcasing it at the Senior Bowl, but he played over 900 snaps at left tackle last season. So he is a left tackle, and that is a piece that, you want Jaden Daniels blindside for the rest of his career. Gray Zabel could be that. So I love that pick. Buffalo Bills here. I don't know, Jim.
I don't know, Jim.
I don't know, Jim. Receiver, D-line, linebacker, and corners the needs, Jim. Give me Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. I think they do address the interior of the defensive line. I like his size. I mean, 6'3", 330. He's a big boy. I think if they're going to lose some pieces on the interior, you can replace it with a big fella that can definitely shut down the run, create just a gap shutter pretty much. So give me Williams from Ohio State to the Buffalo Bills. I get maybe you could have gone Golden for a receiver there, but I think you addressed the defense with the way the offense played this last season and addressed that in free agency.
Okay, I like that pick. I thought for sure it was going to be Kenneth Grant. I like Tyleik Williams though. I think he's got a little high. He's got very high upside. Yeah, he's going to be very, very good. So I like that pick.
I'm looking up my Chiefs. That's all I gotta say.
Your Chiefs. Philly on the clock here at pick 31. I don't believe PFF when they say corners in need. I know Darius Slay's getting older, but you just took a corner in round 1 and round 2, and you still have Keely Rink. Like, you're good at corner, so I'm taking that off my board. Maybe a guard, but you have Lane, like, their offensive line is set. Lane Johnson still has a couple of good years left. I'm certain he was an all-pro caliber player this year. So I'm going to go with an edge rusher, and it's a guy that I may not be as high on personally, but I cannot ignore what he did this year, and that's Donovan Iziraku out of Boston College. Ended up with 14 sacks this year, a really good PFF grade, hasn't missed a game in 3 seasons. I don't know about his upside, but I like his floor. He doesn't have like the crazy height. He's only 6'2", 247, so he's more of that kind of speed edge rusher as opposed to power. But I like the production. Feels like an Eagles pick where they're like, yeah, he's a good football player. We'll take him. So we'll go Donovan at pick 31, leaving Kansas City on the board. Bobby.
yeah, I think a lot of ways they can go here, but I think you got to look a little bit towards the future. Try to pair a guy with Chris Jones. I think Kenneth Grant is the pick here. Never hurts to have interior D line, especially making deep runs into the playoffs frequently. When it gets cold out, you got to be able to stop the run. I think he's a guy you plug and play, forget about, like I said, for a long time. Yeah, and I think he would help that defense a lot. So
And I just gotta justify maybe a smidge of my Bills pick, but tell me that's just not so Bills with the
It
Chiefs
is,
get
no,
Kenneth Grant
it is, it
and
is.
him be your record.
And it's also Chiefs getting Kenneth Grant.
yeah, exactly.
Well.
So a
Perfect
position
sense.
turn, them
Yeah.
helping them in another draft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
tracks.
'Cause Kenneth Grant is damn good. Yeah, he's probably better than Williams. Let's be blunt. Cleveland Browns here. This is tough because Omarion Hampton is right there from North Carolina, but I don't know.
I don't know, Jim.
I don't. Maybe it is Hampton. It's either him or Josh Connerly for me at this pick.
Mm.
It's a tough one because Nick Chubb, what's he going to be? And
Right.
what does the running back room even look like? And they're not going to have really anything from the quarterback position as well this season. But then that just in turn means you're going to get your rookie running back hit over and over and over. I'm going to go Josh Connerly, tackle from Oregon. Just try to shore up the offensive line. If it's Watson in the future, if he comes back off this double Achilles, who the hell knows? Or if it's a new quarterback, you need somebody. You need somebody. So give me Josh Connerly from Oregon to
Yeah,
protect the quarterback.
I think that's a really good pick. I was really struggling with the Giants coming up because I was like, crap. Like, how do I not take Josh Connerly if he's there? But they don't need a left tackle, and he looks really good at left tackle. And you say, oh, put him at right tackle. Well, that was where he was playing when Mike Green put him on his ass. He doesn't know right tackle. I don't know what he can be at right tackle. I know he's a damn good left tackle, but that footwork is different, man. So I was really struggling with that. So you kind of saved me there. So I appreciate you. Giants on the clock here. They took Shedeur Sanders in the first round, so now we're looking tackle or defensive back. I want to go with a tackle, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with a guy I think is a first round talent. I'm going to go with Siobhan Revell out of Eastern Carolina. Big fan of Siobhan Revell. I know he got hurt this year, and I would listen to the argument for Trey Amos. But I love the size of Siobhan Revell at 6'3", $193. The dude's an absolute ball hawk and just a lockdown corner. So we'll go Siobhan Revell. Deontay Banks has been okay. He's been underwhelming. They need cornerback help. So Revell comes in and helps them right away.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal pick. With the Titans here, and who'd they go round one?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward.
Yeah, at the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I just got to go corner here as well. I got to go Trey Amos. I think he's too good of a prospect to pass on here. Some of the edge prospects here I'm not necessarily sold on. So, yeah, I'm going to take Trey Amos out of Mississippi. So,
yeah, I feel like Jaguars fans across America just fell to their knees. What?
No, that's just funny that you said that. They just fell to their knees.
Yeah, immediately. Because you get Mason Graham in the first round, you could have had a corner, but you're like, oh my God, Trey Amos is going to fall to us. And then he doesn't. One pick before.
Yeah, I know. Because that was the immediate pick if Trey Amos fell to me. That would have been the immediate pick. But I think they go on the other side of the ball here. And I'm going to take a guy, maybe the second best guard in the draft if he gets pushed there. But I'm going to go Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. Jacksonville Jaguars address the interior of the offensive line with Donovan Jackson, from Ohio State. Simple as that.
Love that pick. Vegas Raiders on the clock here. They went with a running back. First round, they took Ashton Genty. I'm going to I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get Matthew Golden off the board. Go with the Texas wide receiver. Again, people are really high on him. I'm just not seeing it. I don't know if I'm just missing something, but having him ranked as the 24th best player in the draft, I see 36 players ahead of him. I'm like, I would take that guy over him. I don't know. It's probably a me thing. Sorry, Matthew Golden, if you're listening, no disrespect. I just don't see it at this moment in time, but he'll go pick 37 here.
Yeah, I will say, I do think this is a spot Jackson Dart could go as well in the second round. Just something to look out for, especially if you get Genty, try to pair two young studs together. So I know he's been getting a lot of hype as of late. So, but yeah, like the pick, never bad. Getting weapons for the quarterback. So yeah, and then we got the Patriots on the clock here. I think once again, you try to help your quarterback. I think they go out and get Omarion Hampton. I think he's one of the better running backs in the draft. I just think that New England got to be able to. Mike Vrabel's going to want to pound the rock and help his quarterback as much as he can. So give me Hampton here.
Hell yeah. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I'm pissed because that was my pick for my team.
And you pair him up with Drake May, former teammate.
Correct. Yep. 100%.
Damn. Got him Opal scrambling.
Yeah, scrambling a little. Yeah, that's tough. Bears went edge in the first round with James Pierce. So they're probably leaning an offensive lineman, I think, in this scenario. I think they would have gone Hampton if that's actually how it shook down. I don't know, though. I think safety is actually going to be a real need for the Bears. I know it's not listed here. I think it is one. I'm sure Bears fans are going to be pissed that I'm not taking an offensive lineman, but I'm taking Xavier Watts from
Great
Notre
pick.
Dame.
Yes.
Going to shore up the safety room. Jaquan Brisker missed 8 games or something like that from a concussion, and Byard's just getting older. And he was decent at best last year, maybe even good, but got to be thinking about the future. And it's a question mark right now in the safeties room. So give me Xavier Watts from Notre Dame.
Yep. I think that's a great pick. I secretly hope he falls because I would love to get him in the second round because I think he's being very slept on. That's a home run pick. That's just taking a good football. Again, I've been saying it the whole time, but that's just taking a good football player. Like maybe it's not the most need position, but he is one of the best players on the board. And I'm big fan of that pick. New Orleans on the clock here. Kicked around the idea of Jackson Dart here too. But I think Derek Carr is probably running it back at least this year for sure. And maybe they think they have something in Spencer Rattler. I don't know. I'm not in the building. So I'm going to give them, and they went in the first round. They went with a defensive end. Yep, they went Mike Green in the first round. So here, I'm going to give them a shocker. This one might surprise people. Saints fans, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. But the last time you guys had a Miami tight end, it worked out pretty well. I'm going to take Senior Bowl flyer here. Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. He was excellent at the Senior Bowl, made an absolute name for himself with his route running and his contested catch ability. He's just going to go up and get the ball. He's not your typical classic inline tight end, but he's a mismatch nightmare, and he showed it in front of all of the coaches this past week. And I think he is flying up boards, and the Saints really just could use anything on the offensive side. I'm a big fan of Elijah Arroyo. I think that the week he had really moves him up. So we'll go with him to the Saints here.
Absolutely love that pick. He is a burner as well. So
yeah. Dude's a freak.
Can't hate it at all. I think Bears here have to address O-line at this point. I think there is good running back depth in this class to be able to come back and get. I think some of these running backs we will see fall. It's going to be a guy that I think is going to shore up your tackle position for good. Hopefully play that left tackle along right. Give me Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia. Just an absolute stud, 0 sacks allowed in 3 years of playing. I think you got to go protect Caleb Williams' blindside, and I think he's a gritty guy to do it. So,
yeah, that's a home run pick. The Bears getting 3 of my favorite players in this entire draft makes me sad. Happy for you, Addison.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
Those are 3 studs, man.
We talked about this guy a couple places. I think if it shakes down like this, I think the Jets are going to be interested in him. I'm going to go Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think he is going to fly up boards. He's going to test
Absolutely.
well, going to throw well at the pro day. And Jets are trying to get somebody for the future. If it's Aaron Rodgers for one more year, I still think they take Jackson Dart because it's a guy that can sit for a season, maybe even learn something from him. But he's the quarterback of the future, at least for now, for the Aaron Glenn-led Jets.
Yes, that's great pick. Love that pick. That's smart, man. He is flying up boards. Absolutely. 49ers on the clock here. Board tells me guard, tackle, and defensive lineman. They went with Kelvin Banks in the first round, so I'm not going to double up. Kick around the idea of someone like TJ Sanders out of South Carolina, who had just a nasty defense, by the way. The more I look at their defense, it was like, wow, these guys were awesome. I'm surprised he hasn't gone yet. Has he not gone yet? He hasn't. I'm going to go safety, Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina for them. Talanoa Hufanga is a free agent, so replacing him is going to be important. And I think that he gives you great value, and he is a freak athlete at his size too. I mean, the dude's 6'3", 220, and will absolutely lay the hammer. I mean, the dude can hit, and he's good in coverage. That feels like a really solid player for Robert Saleh's defense.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal pick there. I think the Cowboys can go one of 2 ways here. I think they can either go edge or RB. Guy I love coming out of college is Caleb Johnson. I think that'd be a great pick for them, and that's who I'm going to take here. I think you got to get more weapons. I I know edge, obviously you want to address, but you just got to hope Micah creates enough explosive off the edge. And I love Caleb Johnson coming out of Iowa. So give me the Hawkeye here.
Yeah.
Love that pick. We're on the Colts here after drafting Tyler Warren in the first round. Edge is obviously, it's interesting because Latu last season was all right, nothing crazy, but I think the DBs are where they're going to go. I think it's the second biggest need after that tight end position. I'm going to take the Florida State corner. I'm going to butcher your first name, my friend, and I'm so sorry. Azariah Thomas.
Azarai Thomas.
Azarai Thomas from
Yeah.
Florida State. I think he's got big upside, and I think the Colts will definitely be excited about a big 6'2", 200-pound corner.
Yes.
I think it's what will fit Ballard's draft profile. He's going to be a good athlete with good size. So I think they're going to fall in love with Thomas from Florida State.
Yeah, and I don't even think he's going to be 21 years old on draft night. Like, he's young. He's young. I think that's a very good pick.
Yeah, love that pick.
Falcons on the clock here. We went with Mykel Williams in the first round. Let's go ahead and get his rival from Alabama. We're going to go with linebacker Jihad Campbell here and just get them a leader on the defense. Again, I think you got to remake that Atlanta defense. The offense was fine, but the defense got cooked last year several times. So I'm going to just double down on defense for them and go with Jihad Campbell and just say we're remaking this defense.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great start to a young defense.
Yeah.
Got Cardinals on the clock here. I'm going to be taking the tackle out of Minnesota, Ursere.
Yep.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Ariante Ursary.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of depth here at the offensive line position. I think, once again, just got to protect Kyler. So give me the tackle out of Minnesota here.
Love it. Love that pick.
Yeah, I got the Dolphins here, and I'm about to draft a punter in the second round. Sorry, just looking at the best punter real quick.
Shit.
No, needs with Will Campbell taking one of them away with the guard or tackle position. I think that's a good first pick. With the second one, I don't really love any of the safeties, maybe. I'm going to go TJ Sanders from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Defensive lineman. I think the Dolphins need to get another defensive interior player, and that's just another big guy. He's got big size, 6'4", 290. Hopefully he can get to 300 plus while he's with all the big boys around him. So I'm going to go defensive interior for the Dolphins, and they address trenches on both sides.
Yep. I was looking at the defensive tackles over here. I wasn't given any pointers. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to look at them, and I'm very happy with that pick.
Norman Lott was interesting from Tennessee, but I ended up going back with Sanders.
I love it.
South Carolina's defense was nasty, and he was a big part of that.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
Cincinnati on the clock, having gone Luther Burden in the first round. I am going to address offensive line for them. Their interior offensive line was just pitiful. You've got a couple of options for guys that are currently listed as tackles that I think could move to the interior. There's also an interior guy. I like Tate Ratledge, but I'm not going to go with him here. I think it's just maybe a little early still for him. So I am going to go with Jonah Savai-Inaya out of Arizona. He's someone I think he's got longer arms than I thought he would. He was over that 34-inch arm length that coaches love, but I still think that his build fits for a guard. He just fits as an offensive guard. And I think he'd be really good in Cincinnati and would help shore up that interior to protect Joe Burrow.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Anytime you can protect the quarterback, I think that's a big thing. I think there's a lot of edge rushers on the board here. Even though they just took Stewart. I think they go linebacker here then. Give me Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina. I think he's fallen long enough. Hopefully get a good playmaker at this, in the linebacker spot for Seattle, especially with that Mike McDonald defense. So
love that pick.
Love that. And we're on to the Buccaneers, who in the first round, who did they snag?
They went edge rusher.
Yes, they did go edge rusher. We had them taking Nick Scorton,
Yep.
which I do like. Sorry, let me get back here.
You good?
Yeah, they got linebacker and DB listed as their other big needs. I'm going to go Darian Porter out of Iowa State. Big guy, big corner, 6'4", 200 pounds. He's 24 years old, so he's a little bit older, but I think that's a better sign that he can get plugged in immediately and play. And so that's what I'm going to rock with.
Okay, I like that pick. I do. I think that's a solid spot for Darian to go. Again, just a guy that plugs right in for him, starts pretty much straight away. And like you mentioned, good size at 6'4". I mean, dude's big. Little older as a prospect at 24 years old, but at the same, I mean, the Bucks are ready to compete now, so there's not a problem
Yeah.
with that. No issues with that at all. Denver on the clock here, having gone with a tight end in the first round. They went with Colston Loveland. I am going to stay on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense was great last year, so I'm going to stay away. And I'm going to give them another Senior Bowl guy. I'm big on the Senior Bowl guys. Jack Besh out of TCU. He was excellent at the Senior Bowl, just constantly open. Ended up having the game-winning catch in that one. You just love his story, having lost his brother just a couple of months ago, and dude has just been balling out. And big fan of his. And I think that he would fit well in Sean Payton's offense alongside Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Devon Vele, all those guys.
Yeah, I love that pick of wideout. I also will say, I know it's a little bit early, but Tez Johnson
Yeah,
to the Broncos to
with Bo
play with
Nix.
Bo Nix, I think would be pretty cool there. So,
Agreed. Good
I
point.
know it might be a little bit early for
Yeah.
that to happen, but yeah. And then we got the Steelers on the clock here. And they already went wide out, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that they add to the DB room. He's a guy that I think can be a playmaker. Give me Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State, the safety.
Okay.
I think he can also be a playmaker in the secondary for him and continue to add to that young DB room that they already have. So
Okay. I like that. That's a good pick.
Love
Did you
that.
ever, before we move on, did you consider like Jalen Milrow or Dylan Gabriel at that spot at all?
I think Jalen Milrow's a little bit too close to Fields if that's who they're bringing back. I guess I think that experiment might not be something they would do.
Sure. Okay. Fair. I was curious.
Yeah, I could be swayed with the QB here, but I just think Milrow's too inaccurate. I think he will test crazy. Honestly, it might not be a bad pick though, just to give Mike Tomlin a young gun. And hey, they did look pretty good with Fields. So
Yeah, they did. They did. Very true.
Is Landon Jackson available?
He is.
Yeah, I was to say that I'm definitely sprinting for the meme boy. Give me Landon Jackson, and I'm sure Jim Harbaugh is going to have a wicked nickname for the way he does that bag drill.
Dude, I
he is-
can't draft him. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to draft him after that one video. I'm sure he's
Yeah,
way
I know
better than
the
that.
one video's it's a tough look, but
Oh,
I'm rocking with it.
I respect
Landon
that.
Jackson, edge. He's more than just the meme, man.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm out on him, but you're absolutely right. Let's see. Green Bay on the clock here in the first round. I just looked and I already forgot. Benjamin Morrison. So they went DB in the first round, which I think is smart because they've absolutely got to address that position. So wide receiver, interior offensive lineman would be interesting here. And edge rusher. I'm going to give him a tough one. I'm going to give him JT Tuimoloau. I've been a fan of his since last year. He is so tough to move. He's such a good run defending edge rusher with pass rush upside. I mean, the dude had 15 sacks this year, so clearly he knows how to get home. But he also only had 22 like quarterback hurries. So he was, when he got close to home, he got home. But I love his run defense ability as first and foremost. So I think that sees him to the field right away. Lucas Van Ness has been kind of a disappointment for them off the edge. This gives them someone else who can also play that role and just someone that can move around the defensive line. So we'll go with Tuimoloau out at 55.
love the pick. Yeah, and then we got the Bills. I think here they gotta get Josh Allen more weapons. There are some interesting players available. I love Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. Big body wide out, but I'm gonna go with Jalen Royal out of Utah State. I think he is a little bit smaller body of a receiver. But I think he's gonna be too good of a weapon to pass up. And I got Jalen Royals out of Utah State here. So
Okay. I like that.
Love that. Well, I think this is going to be back-to-back receivers with the Houston Texans seeing last season the receiver room fall apart due to injury. You just want to shore that up because you don't know exactly if Diggs is going to be back. You probably do at the point of the draft, but still you want to get a young gun, especially with the injury. I'm blanking on his name, but Tank Dell. Because that's something that could be serious impacting his future.
Yes, agreed.
I'm gonna go the receiver from Miami, Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah, Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah, he's a little bit smaller. He's only 5'10", but I think that's all right. That's a piece that they just lost. They got their big body X receiver in Nico Collins. So it's better to have guys underneath that are good at these quick, short route running stuff. So I'm going to go Xavier from Miami receiver.
Okay, I like that. Before I make my pick for Carolina, are we just in consensus that we're not big Elik Ayomanor fans?
I could say that's true.
I mean, I've seen his name in the first round a handful of times, and he's sitting here, and I'm like, I'm not touching him. I'm not taking him for. I'm not doing it. You can't make me.
There'll be time. There'll be a time.
Yeah, that's right. He'll have his moment to shine. Carolina took Malachi Starks in the first. They still desperately have to help that defensive line. So I'm going to go with Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss, edge rusher. Very toolsy. I think that he could go higher once he tests at the combine. Also was insane per PFF, a 91 grade is elite. He had 11 sacks and 28 quarterback hurries. Dude was all over the defensive line. He did have Walter Nolan next to him, to be fair. But they'll have Derek Brown next to him in Carolina. So let's go with Princely at pick 58.
Great pick. Yeah, and actually, funny enough, I think this is where Stanford Whiteout does go here. I think the ball stops here. I think they could also look Jaden Higgins. I do like him, but like you said, Nate, I mean, a little bit too far of a slip, and I think the Ravens gotta get more help for Lamar as well. I know him and Henry had a crazy year, so let's just keep adding to it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Love that. Who are we on here?
You're on Detroit.
Detroit, yes. And they took Jack Sawyer, Nate's home run pick for the Lions. I'm going to go corner here. I don't believe this player has been taken yet. And if he has, I'm a total bot. But give me Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky.
Yes.
6'1", 186.
Yes.
Yeah, he's outside corner, and I think it's just a position of need for the Detroit Lions. Defense cannot have too many players. We saw that this past season, injuries everywhere, and you lost your coordinator, so go ahead and get some pieces to try to retool that. Give me Harrison.
Yep, it's a great pick. He's gonna fly up draft boards too. Another guy that just had a great week at the Senior Bowl and is just gonna continue to move up boards for people, I think. Washington on the clock here at pick 61, having taken Gray Zabel in the first round. I think I'm going to go to the other side of the ball for them. I'm going to give them a guy I think I'm maybe a little higher on than most. I'm not sure. I'm a huge Derek Harmon out of Oregon fan. I think he's going to be an awesome defensive tackle. I don't necessarily think that's a need, but I have seen Jonathan Allen trade rumors and cut rumors floating around out there, and Deron Payne is getting up there in age. You've got to get someone on the defensive line still and continue to get youth. And I just like the value here. I mean, you could argue a wide receiver, but I just don't know if I'm reaching for any of these wideouts. Savion Williams is solid. So is Jaden Higgins. Even, a Tez Johnson or Isaiah Bond. But I'm just going to go on the defensive side, give Dan Quinn a piece here, and go with Derek Harmon.
Love that.
Great pick. Yeah, I love him as a prospect too. Reminds me a lot of DeForest Buckner. So, and then Bill's on the clock here. Give me Carson Schweissinger, linebacker out of UCLA. I think gonna just be a great pick for him. Bills always have a way of getting the most out of their linebacking core. So,
love that. On to the Eagles here at pick 63 in the first round. They went edge from Boston College. Receiver, guard, corner are the remaining needs for the Eagles. It's interesting because obviously they got the big two in the receivers, but after that, there's not really much. Sorry, let me look. I'm just looking at the remaining corners. Making sure I'm not going total bot move here. Because those Philly fans are crazy. They'll kill me.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Philly fans. We do have one Philly fan that comments every one of these videos, so shout out you. I
love it, man.
They will let you know. They will let you know.
They're passionate, and you love to see that. I'm going to go Jaden Higgins, Iowa State receiver. He's 6'4", 215. Get a big body. Maybe you can learn some from A.J. Brown just because obviously age is getting up there eventually. He's still got a lot of elite left in him, but you got to be thinking about the future a little bit. This is a big body guy that can hopefully Jalen Hurts can build some chemistry with.
Love that.
So yeah, I'm going to go Jaden Higgins.
Yep, I think that's a great pick because wide receiver 3 this year is Jahan Dotson, and it's like, no, that's not going to work.
No.
So I like going Jaden Higgins there in the second round. I think that's a good pick. The Eagles always draft for the future, not right now.
Yeah.
They do that every single time. So Kansas City on the clock here, having gone in the first round with Kenneth Grant at pick 32. We're going to go offensive line here, and you're going to probably have to scroll for this guy, but I am a big believer in Anthony Belton out of North Carolina State. He was really, really good at the bowl this past week. The practices he looked awesome at. He's 6'6", 336 pounds. And what I like most about him is his experience. He's played 12 games, right? So he's played 38 college football games, and in all 38 games total, he's given up 8 sacks and minimal like hurries. 2023 was a rougher year, but other than that, he's been really solid. And that's what the Chiefs need. They don't need a developmental guy like Cameron Williams. He's not ready to start year one. They need a left tackle. Joe Thuney has done great, but that's not his position. He's an all-pro left guard. Put him back, please, and go from there. We didn't do it in the first round, and I love the Kenneth Grant selection. That is a freaking home run pick for them in the first round. But you got to address that offensive line at some point, and I think that getting someone like Anthony Belton who can play right away is a good pick. And
Yeah, I love
that
one.
wraps up our first 2-round mock draft here on the channel. Make sure if you guys are not already subscribed that you absolutely hit that red subscribe button. All of a sudden, I can't talk. I'm sorry. Because all we're going to have for you guys is more draft content, more free agency stuff. You're going to get all of our top players at each position. Those will probably be sent out to members specifically. Memberships available coming soon, where for a very small fee, you are going to get complete prospect breakdowns on a player you want. You want our breakdown on someone like a Wyatt Milam, you let us know and we will get you that video. That will be something that we will be more than happy to do. And if you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. Like, might as well hit that red button because we're going to have so much content for you. So that's all I've got for you. That's all we've got for you guys today. Addison, Bobby, anything you guys want to add?
Just excited for the draft, ready for next year already. Bears fan talking, but can't wait.
Yeah, hopefully comes quickly.
Yes, absolutely. All righty. Well, that's all we've got for you guys, and we will see you all in the next one.
Peace.